waters of Mars. This is SkyWatchTV News for Tuesday, September 29th, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. Well, it wasn't the Ilium Q-36 explosive space modulator. NASA's big announcement about Mars yesterday was that the Curiosity rover found that the soil there contains about 2% water. This solves the mystery of why dark streaks appear on the faces of some cliffs in the summer months and disappear again in colder weather. This has also led to speculation about the possibility of life on Mars, not just now, but also in the future, as NASA is planning a manned mission to Mars by the year 2030. And of course, water would be an essential component requirement for any colony there. Now, just to remind you about what I said yesterday, and I've said a number of times on this program, we as humans have a unique position here on Earth. We are created in God's image, His imagers, His moral agents on Earth. That status doesn't change regardless of what we might find on Mars, on an asteroid, or what might land on the White House lawn. To date, no credible evidence for life in outer space, but our status as God's imagers on Earth would not change regardless. So don't let the steady meme, the drip, drip, drip of news items hinting at the possibility of life in outer space affect your faith. It changes nothing about who we are and what we are in God's plan. Here on Earth, the drought in California took a strange turn last week as Walker Lake, a reservoir and popular fishing hole in Northern California, drained overnight Thursday, leaving behind a big mud flat and thousands of dead and dying fish. Residents in the area are pointing fingers at Pacific Gas and Electric. The big utility company owns the rights to the water in the lake, uses it for hydroelectric power. Some believe there should have been a couple of weeks worth of water left in the lake, and that the company just didn't want to pay the expense of rehoming the fish. PG&E said it did no such thing. Water just ran out because of the exceptional drought conditions in California. And however it happened, this is a scene that may occur again, be repeated in other places in California unless the climate changes there. The news is a little better from the South Pole, where Antarctic sea ice is at a 35-year high. This is puzzling some climate scientists who believe that the Earth is warming. A scientist at the University of Washington told a reporter that the evidence is overwhelming that the temperature of the water in the Southern Ocean is warming, except for the evidence that you've got all this new ice in that Southern Ocean. Clearly, this is beyond my capacity for understanding how warmer water creates more ice. That's why I'm not a scientist, I suppose. All I know is that I better watch my mouth. A group of 20 climate scientists are so sure that the science of global warming is settled that they want President Obama to prosecute anyone who disagrees with the theory. These 20 sent a letter to the president, Attorney General Lynch, and the president's science advisor, John Holden, asking that climate deniers be prosecuted under the RICO Act. Now, RICO stands for the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. It's a law that is generally used to prosecute organized crime. Scientists claim that groups with ties to big oil and big coal have spread disinformation among the public, confusing people about climate change. Now, these scientists aren't the first to suggest using the RICO Act to prosecute climate dissenters. In June, Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island suggested that the Department of Justice use the RICO Act to prosecute climate change skeptics the same way it used the RICO Act to prosecute big tobacco in the 1990s. Earlier this year, Congressman Raul Grijalva of Arizona, top Democrat on the House Natural Resources Committee, launched an investigation into the funding of scientists who disagree with the theory that the globe is warming. He backed off after getting some pushback. He sent letters to 7 universities that employ scientists who've been openly skeptical about man-made global warming. Now, this is a story to watch because climate change is one very convenient tool for a technocratic global government to come to power, because almost everything that you and I do involves energy. And of course, most of our energy, at least in the United States, comes from so-called fossil fuels. Transportation, heating and cooling, cooking, the power to generate this broadcast, generated by an electric power plant somewhere, probably burning coal. Now, if enough people are convinced that the survival of the human race depends on regulating our consumption of energy and how we live, well, then a government could have just about total control over our lives, which is exactly what technocrats have been hoping for and pushing for since the 1930s. Now, looking at this through the lens of Bible prophecy, it doesn't take a whole lot of imagination to figure out how a future one-world government could exploit this kind of control. Smart meters, smart grids, monitors on your car to get you a discount on your auto insurance. Why do you think they give those discounts? Information is required by technocrats in order to have this kind of control. I highly recommend the book Technocracy Rising by Patrick Wood, published earlier this year. It is an excellent overview of the technocracy movement, and it's written by a Christian, one who believes in end-times Bible prophecy. Well worth the expense. As this world in which we live is growing stranger every single day, a private all-women's college in California has published a guide for the use of pronouns on campus. Now, being an all-women's campus, you think it would be pretty much she, her, or they, them. But no. Students are given 10 different options to choose from when selecting their preferred pronoun on campus, including just my name or none. The students choose their favorite pronouns, and those preferences are given to professors at the beginning of each semester. It's not clear what kind of punishment might befall a professor who accidentally calls a Z a per by mistake, or how professors are supposed to keep up with changing pronouns in this era of gender fluidity. One day, a here might decide that Z feels like an M instead. And I haven't even figured out the logic behind none, since just my name, please, is one of the options open to students. Now, this seems silly. Well, no, check that. It is silly, but it's more evidence that the enemy is making inroads in convincing people, dupes, to reject God's design for humanity. In the beginning, created he them male and female. And again, that design being in his image, as his imagers, his agents here on earth. And on a darker note, but similar, the culture of death continues to gain ground. In Belgium last week, an 85-year-old woman was euthanized after she learned that her daughter had died of a heart attack. The woman was considered healthy. She wasn't on any medication. But under Belgium's assisted suicide law, doctors there complied with her wish, signed off on the papers, and put her to sleep. Since the assisted suicide law was passed in Belgium 12 years ago, more than 8,000 people have died with a physician's help. People don't need to be terminally ill. They don't even need to be sick. Just have to have a doctor certify that they are in unbearable, incurable pain, and not even physical pain, as in the case of the 85-year-old grieving mother. Now, the next step in the growing acceptance of physician-assisted suicide around the world is making doctors' assistance compulsory. And we're seeing evidence that this is already taking place. A general practitioner in the Netherlands has been reported to the medical board there, in effect reported for malpractice, for recommending against a euthanasia killing. The case involved a 19-year-old who suffered from lupus and depression. The opinion of doctors was supposed to be a check on unrestricted assisted suicide. But as this case shows, a doctor reported because he disagreed with the decision to go ahead and let this child end his life. Proponents of euthanasia now want to eliminate a doctor's right to disagree on medical basis, or even decline based on religious grounds. The goal of euthanasia proponents, activists, is a positive right to be made dead, which will require a positive duty for doctors to kill. The day is coming soon where doctors may have to choose between killing and their careers. And again, this is a rejection of the idea that human life has intrinsic value, is sacred, because we are created in his image. SkyWatchTV returns to the Christian television network tonight as National Preparedness Month continues. Carl Gallups returns to talk more about his book, Be Thou Prepared. And we discuss how to prepare and discuss some of the stereotypes that some of us may hold about people who are considered preppers. But as Carl explains, it's not only prudent, it is biblical. The program airs at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 p.m. Central Time on the Christian Television Network. Also streams live to the internet at the Christian Television Network website. That's ctnonline.com. And if you missed the broadcast, you can see it tomorrow on our Roku channel. If you have not yet added us to your Roku account, you can do so at the Roku channel store or log on to skywatchtv.com/Roku. In October, the month is almost here, Tom Horn, one of the featured speakers at the 10th Annual Strategic Perspectives Conference that's produced by Chuck Missler's Koinonia Institute. It'll be held at the Coeur d'Alene Resort in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, October 23rd through 25th. Other speakers include Gary Stearman from Prophecy Watchers, Colonel Bob McGinnis, a guest on a future episode of SkyWatch TV. Others, Joel Richardson, also coming up on SkyWatch TV. More information and registration available at koinoniainstitute.org. And keep your eyes open because more information is coming soon about the 2016 Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference. That's next July, the 15th through the 17th in Colorado Springs. Registration opens October 13th at prophecywatchers.com. Your input is important to us. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions on how we can make this program more informative or interesting to you, please send those to me, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.